Welcome to the Speak Like a Leader podcast with John Bates. Welcome to the show. With me today is Orrin C. Hudson. And Orrin is the creator and founder of BeSomeone.org. And Orrin formerly was in the United States Air Force. He was a crew chief. Then he went to into law enforcement as a state trooper. And now he runs BeSomeone.org. So, Orrin, you are a ball of light. In fact, CNN has dubbed you the Pied Piper of positivity. And I know that you've served over 78,000 students with what you do, and your goal is over 1 million. And I want to help you get there and crush that goal and go way beyond. And I know that you've been given the George H.W. Bush Points of Light Award, and that you've also been given the FBI Director's Community Leader Award. Now, I'm going to put a little pin in all that because it sounds almost intimidating, like, oh my gosh, this guy has something I don't. How could he be so great? And you're so positive. In a little bit, I'm going to ask you about how that happened, where that came from. But first, tell me, what's the C for?
The C's for checkmate, and checkmate means you win, and it's not over until you win.
That's awesome.
My deepest heart desire is to help others win.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and we've known each other for a while now, and that has been my consistent experience of you. So it's not just a nice thing to say. It's something that you put your actual effort and intention and attention behind. So I appreciate that. And, you had some down moments in your life, might as well go right to that because, one of the things that when we first met, you just always had such positive things to say and such a positive outlook. And, at first I was kind of like, can this guy be for real? And then I got to hear some of your stories. And I know that there was a moment when, you were in a contentious divorce. You had to, the judge seemed to have something out for you. Even the court reporter was like, what is he doing to you? And you ended up in jail for a little bit. You had to sell your nice car to get out of jail. The car you'd bought that was a total piece broke. And you were in a really, really scared, low, down spot. And then you got a call a little while after that moment. Will you tell me about that call?
Yeah, I got a call from this 2-time Academy Award winner, Jane Fonda, and she wanted me to come to Atlanta to start a chess program for young people in a couple of schools. And when you get a phone call from Jane Fonda, I may have not took that call, but because of my down moments, it was a perfect timing.
Yeah, right. I mean, so, that was one of the things that I really got out of the story that you shared with me is that this whole positivity, what's the thing you say about life conspiring? And,
life is a conspiracy to help you win. Everything is unfolding as it should. Bad thing, even when it's bad, it's good because life is all working in your favor.
And, like when you just say that, I think it's easy for people to go, yeah, easy for him to say, right? But you
I've been there.
Yeah. Well, and you probably never would have gotten that call from Jane Fonda, nor would you have said yes to going and teaching chess to kids if that bump in business that you had was doing really well and you hadn't had this contentious divorce and been in a really low place. What was the other big thing that came out of you being knocked down? You did the thing that led to the call with Jane Fonda.
Well, I went through the divorce and was really down and depressed about everything because I lost everything. Usually you get something out of the deal. I got nothing. And I decided to do something for others. And I created a Be Someone Day where I did something in downtown Park, Atlanta. Downtown Park, Birmingham, Lynn Park. And I realized when you do something for others, it makes you feel better. And
Yeah.
depression is thinking about you. But if you always in mindful of the needs of other, it really makes your life better.
So, do you remember the moment when you were thinking, oh, woe is me, this sucks, oh my gosh, I've lost everything, what a drag? And then that moment where you said, wait a minute, let me do something for other people. And you started creating that Chess in
Yeah.
the Park. What was
Yeah.
that about?
Well, you know, May 24th, 2007, people were shot in a robbery for $2,000. And I said to myself, bad things continue to happen when concerned people fail to give back and serve others and make boss moves. And I made a boss move and started be someone at the park and downtown Land Park. And when I started to be someone thing in the park, Jane Fonda called the Chess Federation because they had reached out to the Chess Federation to order some supplies and stuff to do this big event. And one thing led to another. She called the Chess Federation and wanted to know who they recommend. And she said, "Oh, I got just the perfect person." And she recommended me, and we flew to. We both met together in her office, and that's how I started doing stuff in Atlanta for Jane Fonda.
And that essentially was the catalyst for you to take besomeone.org to 78,000 kids and to keep on going and
And
has
keep on
become,
going because
yeah.
when you love when you love what you do, it's not work. How to never work another day in life. Fall in love with what you do. When you fall in love with what you do, you'll never work another day again in your life.
Yeah. Well, you certainly, you seem to just be in love with just being alive on top of what you do. And it's a joy to be around you. So, what are some of the I got two questions actually. Let's pursue whichever one you want to do first. One is, who were some of the great leaders and influences in your life? And two is, what are some of the things that you have learned about leadership from, I mean, you must have learned something about leadership from these 78,000 kids that you've reached out and touched and made a difference for. What are some of the big takeaways from that? And then who are some of the leaders and what are some of the things you learned from them that really had an impact on you?
Well, this gentleman by the name of John Bates, he's very powerful. And what I love about John is that he shares things that you don't hear often, like uh, courage is acting and having fear, being afraid, but doing it anyway. That's brilliant because we were looking at some definitions and you go, no, 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 let's tweak that. So what I love about you is you take stuff that's out there and you tweak it so that it's stronger. So people like John Bates, I've learned from Tony Robbins, I've learned from Les Brown, Jack Canfield, Jim Rohn. Did a workshop with Jim Rohn. He did a conference call with my kids. So I'm just blessed to be able to meet some people and they've helped me along the way. So I stand on the shoulders of great people like John Bates who's helping me get to the next level. And for that, anytime a guy talks to you and you get goosebumps and I've been to over 500 training seminars and workshops, but when I talk to you, no one can break it home like John Bates. And I appreciate
Oh, Orrin, thank you. Gosh, that means a lot to me, be included in that company. So, so as you've done this, you've been taking things that you've learned from, I mean, Jim Rohn's one of my big heroes, Tony Robbins, obviously, I know Jack Canfield as well. He interviewed me. These are some great mindset, leadership, thinking, focused people. What are some of the things that you've seen, like what lands with kids, and what is there a story of somebody who really got something out of your teachings that maybe even surprised you?
Well, I remember Aaron Porter, we competed in a statewide chess competition. and we
Mm.
traveled to Augusta, Georgia, and we had to compete for the statewide chess competition. My children, they panicked. They said, "Coach, we can't win this tournament." I go, "Why?" They said, "Well, they said the school we have to play, their mascot is a chess piece. We've been ambushed." And I said,
They
"Not so
obviously take
fast."
it really seriously.
Because
Yeah.
just mostly logos for schools is like an eagle or a bird. Or, there was a chess piece. They said, "Coach, we've been ambushed." And I said, "Not so fast." I said, "Play the board. The board is neutral. The board doesn't care. And the board doesn't know." I said, "Play the board. Don't focus on the other stuff. Focus on the board. Stay focused." And we was able to win it, but it was not without a fight. My top guy, Aaron Porter, lost his queen in the match, and he remembered what we teach in class: don't focus on what you lost, focus on what you have left. The queen is the most powerful piece. And even though he lost his queen, he fought back and ended up winning the match when he became state champion. So, lessons like that, teaching young people never give up. Use what you have and give it all you got.
Yeah. Oh, I love that story. I mean, losing your queen, I mean, for someone like me, that would be devastation because I don't know what I'm doing so much. But that line, the board is neutral, the board doesn't care that their mascot is a chess piece.
Right. The board
Oh,
doesn't care. Nature is neutral, and that, you know, uh, your mind makes this game a level playing field.
yeah. Wow, that's so great. Well, that's one of the things it's one of your messages, right? Brains before bullets.
Brains before bullets, think it out, don't shoot it out. The only way to fight is to use your head. We got to teach young people that every move you make has consequences. And you can make some moves in life and never recover. So you got to think things through. It's just true. It's just honest. It's just the best move I can make. Make your
Yeah.
next move your best move.
Oh, I love that. I mean, and the experience of learning chess and seeing that every move does have consequences, and the
Yep.
consequences can be, they can add up over moves down the line, right? And that story of your player who lost his queen, that would seem like an unrecoverable move to some people, but he was able to fight back and win. So I really, really like the consciousness that brings to this. And by the way, I am going to be asking you to teach Johnny and me how to play chess here pretty soon. I mean, he's 4.5. So,
Four and a half is a good age. Yeah, he can get it because I've taught a lot of 4-year-olds how to play chess. So that's not nothing unusual.
wow, that's pretty cool. Maybe we can jump on like a FaceTime call or a Zoom call, and because he's interested. I've got a chessboard upstairs. I mean, we're playing Hi Ho Cheerio and Shoots and Ladders and stuff. We also have this really cool game where you try to get these owls home by jumping little colors. So we have some fun games, but and he's very interested in the chessboard. Like it's pretty cool looking, the
Well,
squares and those cool pieces, and there's the horse and the castle and all that.
yeah, it's the game of life, and you win or lose based on the decision that you make. I'll tell you a story. The king, the queen, the king married the queen. They got married by the bishop. They ran off on a night, and they went to the castle, and the pawns are the children. And so there are a lot of stories that chess you can teach him now that will elevate him in the future and show him that every move you make is a plus or a minus. Everything
Yeah.
you do take you closer to your goals or away from your goals. So my message is make every move count and make your next move your best move.
Yeah. I really, really like that. So how did you get into chess?
A teacher by the name of James Edge pulled me. I was a gang member in my teens. He pulled me to the side and said, "Listen, I'm gonna teach you how to think for yourself." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "I'm going to teach you chess." I said, "I'm a checker guru." He said, "Checkers, you're using half of the board." He said, "Chess, you're using every single square on the board. I'm going to teach you how to play the whole board." And so checkers, you're using just half of the board. And there's no
Mhm.
females on. He said, "There's no females on the checkerboard. And on the chessboard, the female is the most powerful piece on the board. Just
Yeah,
like in life.
that's not an accident, by the way.
Just like in life."
Yeah, yep. Well, that's really cool. And so, what I like about that is one of the things I talk about is being responsible for what they hear, right? How can I say something, not just so I can check the box I said it, but so I can check the box he got it. And that guy clearly knew you enough to know that when he said, look, you're using half the board and there's no females on the board, like that was a challenge to Orrin Hudson, right? And
Right.
you stepped into that and wanted to play the whole board, and bring in all the aspects of life. I think that was a pretty brilliant. That was a boss move on his
Well,
part, right?
one of the things I learned from you, John, I really love is that you're not only responsible for what you say, but you also responsible for what your person hears, because
Yeah.
what they hear is also important. You say something, and if they hear something else, then you may incite a riot, and people may be killed behind it. So yeah, you're
Yep.
not only responsible for what you say, but you're also responsible for what they hear.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, at the end of the day,
For
people that
me,
I'm working with and supporting, like you and me and everybody that I hang out with, we're interested in our results.
right.
What are the actual results we cause? And that's how you get there, right?
Results is the name of the game. The meaning of your communication is the response you get. And
Yes,
so
that's how you say it. Yeah,
result or meaning of your communication is the response you get. So results is the name of the game. It's all about results.
that's awesome. So any other stories about kids that have, that like things that you've seen that surprised you or touched you out of learning chess?
Yeah, well, I've been blessed. I've never seen any of my kids on the news for something negative, because one of the things and I thank God for this, uh, one of the things I just try to tell the children is to do no harm. You can't get arrested for giving and serving other people. You only can get arrested for subtracting value. There are four types of people: the people that subtract, the people that divide, people that add, multiply. God first instructions. God first instruction to the first couple on earth was be fruitful and multiply. I'm just telling children to multiply value. Always
Yeah,
give people more value than they give you. You're a multiplier. And if you're a multiplier, you'll win every time. You go around subtracting value. Those who subtract value go to jail. Those who divide value go to jail. When you add, you're okay. When you multiply, you've been extraordinary. So
yeah.
be a multiplier and be extraordinary.
I know that you're a man of faith, and I do have a saying that I mean in the most positive way. I think it's kind of funny. Can I run it by you?
Yes, sir. Go for
Uh, Jesus saves, but God invests.
it.
So, yeah, so be a multiplier. I love that. So you and I have a guy that I respect greatly in common, and I know you respect him too. I'd love to know what some of the things you learned from him are. I'll say the name. I'll say it loud. I'll say it proud. Les Brown.
Yeah, Les Brown. Les Brown and I are real good friends. We talk a lot. I have his cell phone. He has mine. And if you Google me, you'll hear him talking about me. But Google my name, Orrin Hudson.
Yeah.
He talks about, one day he called me and he said, "How you doing, Orrin?" And I said, "Today is the best day of my life. I'm living my dream." And he said he gonna start saying this now. But he talks about that story when he calls me and asks me how am I doing. And I tell people today is the best day of my life. And one lady asked me, she said, "Well, why you say that? Did you hit the lottery?" I said, "Yes, I hit the lottery. I hit the lottery every day I wake up." You have to
Yeah.
create your own lottery. So what I love about Les Brown is that, I've learned a lot from Les Brown. But between me and you, I've learned a lot from you as well, Don. So everybody has their own lane, and everybody speaks to you differently.
Yeah.
And that's why you, my friend, you bring a lot to the table as well. So for that, I honor John Bates. You are the real deal.
Well, thank you, Orrin. I do really really appreciate that. Uh, his whole thing of people don't connect with your successes, they connect with your messes. Your message is in your mess. I heard him say that at the very beginning of my speaking and coaching and training career about 10 years ago now. And I really took that on. It made very deep, intrinsic sense to me. And I mean, coming from a legend like him, I wasn't going to argue. And I think that has been an enormous key to the value that I've been able to create and offer people. I think that what it really speaks to is that moment of, how down you were. I mean, you were a gang member in your teens, and somebody reached out to you and was responsible for saying what he needed to say in a way that would land for you. And if I remember right, he gave you a big, thick book about chess.
Right.
And like you hadn't even really read books before.
Right. Never knew the value of reading a book until he gave me that book. And the turning point in my life is I became the first African American to defeat the Alabama state champion. And I realized that all readers are leaders, and to earn more, you got to learn more. So reading is very important. Reading is fundamental. Read, and read some more. I suggest people, and I'm all about, reading and trying to improve myself. I was watching Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, and he had an interview on TV, and he was telling people to read books and learn. I was like, wow, that's so amazing. And so I recorded it. So I have a copy of that, him saying that. So, because I'm always pushing kids to read, because, when you read, it takes you new, and you learn stuff. And school is never out. My students said, Coach, why you say school is never out? I said, because I'm still learning, and I'm in pre-K now. I said, Coach, you've been pre-K 40 years ago. I said, I'm never getting out of pre-K, because I'm always learning, and you never arrive.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so perfect. I've heard a story, excuse me, from the guy who used to coach Kobe Bryant, and look, I don't know sports very well. And I kind of thought Kobe Bryant was a little bit of a brat. And I was never that much of a fan, just because I don't pay that much attention to sports anyway. But this story totally changed my mind. He went into what he used to do, maybe still does. He would go watch high school basketball games.
Who was
high
he?
school?
Who was he?
Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant, right? And he would go watch high school basketball games. And, he'd go in kind of with, his hood over and like, a little disguised, and sit way up in the back and watch, and his coach said, well, why are you doing that? He said, I don't know who knows what I might learn, right? I'm watching what they're doing, because they're trying new things, and I can always learn something. And one time he was there watching, and some kid did some rad move, and he was really impressed. He was like, wow, I'm going to go home and I'm going to practice that. And so he came home that night after watching this high school football or basketball game, set up the furniture in his living room, like the defenders and everything, and then practiced this move for a while because he'd just seen it. And the next day he told his coach about it, right? And his coach said, well, that's really amazing. How long are you going to practice that move? And he said, until. And the coach said, until what? He said, until. Just going to keep practicing it, right? And that's the thing that I love about leadership. It's the thing that I love about, I would imagine, chess, if I knew it well enough. I don't know golf that well, but I know golf is like this. I think surfing's like this. I think basketball, being truly great at any sport, is like this. There's no top, right? It's just, you're in school, you're always in pre-K, and you're always getting better. And I can always imagine someone who's going to be a better surfer than I am. I can always imagine someone who's going to be a better speaker than I am, a better leader. And instead of letting that ruin my day, I let that inspire me and just keep climbing, because there's no top, right?
Yeah. Keep climbing, keep moving, and never satisfied. Never be satisfied where you are.
Yeah. Now, that's another thing that I hear people say a lot. And I think it's important. I'd love to know what you think about this. It's not be dissatisfied. It's not be unhappy. It's not beat yourself up. It's just, don't get complacent, right?
Don't get complacent, and just be open-minded to know that there's still stuff out there you're not aware of. And so you want to close the awareness gap.
Yeah, that's cool. So, so who's another great leader and a story of maybe a time
Well,
you
I went to a results workshop from Tony Robbins in 2000, and
Mm,
one of the things Tony said to me that really changed my life was, if you had 6 months to live, what would you do?
yeah,
And when he said that, that really um, inspired me to be someone as well. That's part of what I do. If you had 6 months to live, what would you do? I started to be someone, did something to get back. So the results 2000, Tony Robbins. I was there. I was blessed to go to the VIP luncheon. Uh, just God has just blessed me. I met Tony Robbins twice, got pictures. Um, so, I love Tony Robbins. I love John Maxwell, met him. Jim Rome, I went to his last workshop that he did because of Kyle Wilson. Kyle Wilson, I thank God for him.
yeah,
Um, Jack Canfield invited me to his 8-day training he do an 8-day training, success principles. And so I was blessed to get a phone call. Hey, look, Orrin, I want to invite you as my VIP guest to come. And so I was blessed to do that. So I've been blessed with a lot of powerhouse people. Les Brown has helped me and came to several of my events and did events for me. And I invited Les to an event. He go, look, guys, I'm only here because of Orrin. I don't get out of my bed unless Orrin call. So he came and told the audience that, and people were like, oh my God, you got Les Brown to come? Because I told Les
yeah,
Brown was coming. They didn't believe me.
yeah,
They didn't promote it. They didn't believe me. And when Les Brown showed up, they go, "Oh my God, you what?" So I thank
yeah.
God for people like Les Brown and people who've helped me along the way. So I'm just on a mission to get 1 million kids and share everything I learned with them so that they can be successful.
Well, it seems to me like somebody who's listening to this, that there's a lot of high-powered leaders that are listening to this that could get in touch with really great people like that. Probably there's also probably somebody listening who's like, wow, that guy's lucky, right? That guy's lucky. I could never do that, blah blah blah, the thing the monkey mind says, the monkey mind chatter all the time. It seems really important to me to go back to the beginning of the conversation about just how low you were and just how bad things were and just how unhappy you were. And there are multiple ways that we can respond in those moments, and some of those ways take us down a subtractor or a divider or just an unhappy path, and some of those ways end up producing results like you can call Les Brown and he'll get out of bed for you, and hang out with Jack Canfield. So let's say there's somebody listening who doesn't feel like they've got access to the people you've got access to, and they don't feel like they've had that lucky break yet. What's something you would go back and tell yourself at those lowest points when you didn't know how it was going to turn out? Because that's the thing. History is awesome, but the thing we always forget is they didn't know. Like the people that were, sailing across the Atlantic in World War II. I just watched a fabulous film called Greyhound with Tom Hanks. So good. They didn't know. They didn't know that the United States would eventually win and that Europe would eventually win. And nobody knew. And in those down moments, when you're hearing somebody like the Pied Piper of positivity say, "Oh, life's conspiring for you," what would you tell yourself in the moment before you actually really believed that?
Well,
Long way to ask
I
that
learned something
question.
for Jim Rome that I'll never forget. Jim Rohn said, "It's not what happens to you, it's what you do about what happens." So when
Yeah.
bad things happen, and it happens to all of us, you just got to be cool, calm, and collected and look for the silver lining, because no matter what happens, there's always a silver lining. Yes,
Mm.
I used to putting people in jail. Yes, I got put in jail for 42 days. Yes, I had to pay $42 for $37.50 for every day I was in jail for 42 days, come to about $1,600. So you had to pay a $1,600 hotel to be locked up in jail because I didn't pay $6,000 a month in child support. And, you know, and
Because you couldn't.
because I couldn't pay $6,000, which I couldn't pay, you know, which was crazy because I'm like, the judge could not pay that kind of money.
Yeah.
And I'm
Well,
a,
you had
you know,
had a really
I'm from the
successful.
housing projects.
Yeah.
I barely got out of high school, but he gonna order that I pay $6,000 a month. Come on now, give me a break. But
Yeah.
even though you have downtimes, you know, there's always a silver lining, and you can always overcome adversity if you just stay with it, keep cool, keep calm, be still, and know that God will provide.
Well, I think that that's really great. And I always, in that vein of being responsible for what they hear, I think you and I, I mean, we've got some history behind us. We've been through some things and come out the other side. And I think that when if I'm thinking about a younger me who hasn't been through all that stuff and lived through it and made it and really thought that this is the lowest it could go and then it went lower and um I try to think about how could I really land that for myself before I had experienced it, for people that are a lot younger, that are maybe in a tough spot. I mean, I think that one of the things I keep saying, you've probably heard me say it, Orrin, is we're all in the same storm, but we're not in the same boat. This whole COVID thing has really made it very, very clear that first of all, it's one planet. It's not like closing the borders stopped a virus. And I mean, it did for some places, like New Zealand's done pretty well with that, but still they just, had some case. So like we are definitely interconnected. I think the argument is well made. And, you know, we have gotten to see that there are huge discrepancies between how we're all able to live and what we all have available to us. So we're all in the same storm, but we're not in the same boat. And if there's somebody that's listening and they're really down right now and they're having a hard time believing that life conspires for them and that it's all going to turn out, is there something you'd say to them?
Just you're here for a reason, and that sometimes it looks like Pharaoh is coming and looks like you have no way out. But God, being a God of just, will not let evil win over good. Just stay the course, keep the faith, trust God. God will be with you for His glory, so that you can see the miracle of God. So just stay the course, believe in yourself, know that you are a child of the universe, and see yourself as God see you, and that you can do this, you can do it here, and you can do it now. Just keep the faith, hang in there, and things will get better. Just trust the process. Everything is a process, and that you will come out on top if you believe and you stay the course and don't panic. Never do anything to solve a temporary situation. Everything is temporary, and there is a silver lining. A silver lining means that yes, it looks dark. Yes, it's bleak. Yes, you were locked up for 42 days. Yes, you had to pay a hotel fee. But when I got out, it was light, and God provided, and I was able to stay the course. And you can do this. You can do it too. So just stay the
Yeah.
course, no matter how bad it gets. It can be. It'll get better. Nothing happens forever. Nothing is forever. Nothing is for ever.
Yeah.
The
You're not
bad is not
stuck.
forever,
Yeah.
and the good.
Yeah. That's a really great, there's, yeah, I think, one thing that got me through a lot of those times was just my mantra for a while was this too shall pass, this too shall pass. And, I think I'm going to coin a term here, your chess in the park moment, right? Because if you hadn't been slapped down, that idea would not have seemed so attractive, you know?
I never would have done the chess in the park.
Yeah. And you never would have gotten to the whole next level of being fulfilled, right?
Right.
Um, and I think back on the time that I spent in the wilderness, I raised several $100 million in Silicon Valley and beyond, and I never had a successful exit. So, multiple time loser if I wanted to see it that way. And and
And it
so I
was a
think
turning
that
point in my life, because out of adversity is your medicine.
yeah. Yep. I mean, and that's the thing I think too. If I hadn't failed all those times, and if I hadn't spent all that time in the woods, and if I hadn't almost died of an autoimmune disease after I lost the company that I had co-founded, big words, all those things that seemed like such terrible things. And listen, it's not like they were fun. Okay. I admit that was not fun. And I think it gave me gifts that I couldn't have gotten any other way. And I don't think I could do what I do now, which I find exceedingly fulfilling without those downtimes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You need the downtimes in order to appreciate the good times.
Now you've got a song, and I think we're going to put a link to it in the show notes. Is it something you want to perform a verse or two of for us here?
It's called To Be Someone, You Got to Get in the Game. I'm Orrin Hudson. It's time for a change. Make the right moves in this game called life. Think before you move and always be nice. And when the game gets tough and times get rough, never give up because we're more than enough. Practice every day the correct way. Always better your best before you play. We got to get in the game. Get in the game. Say it.
Get in the game.
Get your head in the game. Head in the game. Say it.
Head in the game. Head in the game.
Stay in the game. Stay in the game. Say it.
Stay in the game. Stay in the game.
Get on top of your game. Top of your game. Say it.
Top of your game. Get on top of your game.
What game? What game? Say it.
What game? What game?
Game of life. The game of life. Say it.
The game of life. The game of life.
That's it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, and that's up somewhere on the internet too, huh?
Yeah, it's I'm blessed I was able to record that song and perform it. And if you go on if you go to YouTube and type in Orrin Hudson Get in the Game 2020, it should come up.
Right on. I'm noticing another thing about you, Orrin, and it's something that I've noticed a lot, and I haven't ever thought about the genius behind it yet. And it just occurred to me. Here's what I think. I believe that your words create your world. And I talk about that a lot. And one of the things that I talk about is the time in my life that I noticed that everything that I was thinking about most of the time was what I didn't want. And I noticed that I would say things like, I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to jinx it. Okay, what is up with that? I realized one day. I was like, okay, that is the most disempowering relationship to my own words that I could possibly have, that my words jinx things? What? And I decided in that moment that I would start, every time I thought about something I didn't want, I would focus on what I did. I would catch myself, stop, and focus on what I did. And I said in that moment, I am changing my relationship with my word. My word creates. My word brings into existence. And so I started saying things to create them versus avoiding saying things so I wouldn't jinx them. And what I notice is that out of your mouth on a regular basis, over and over and over, you say things like, I'm blessed. And I believe that not only are you blessed, but I believe that by saying that, speaking that over and over, you're also creating that. And I think that that's something that somebody in a down moment could think about and take on. Are you focused on what you don't want or what you're worried about is going to happen? Are you in the rocking chair of worry? Like you can rock really fast and go nowhere. It's like negative visualization, right? Worry. And right. What's coming out of your mouth? Are you saying things like I used to, like, I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to jinx it, or, I don't have this, or I can't do that? Or are you saying things like, I'm blessed, I'm grateful, wow, awesome, and I think that is far more powerful than it might sound to somebody who's in a down moment. I think it's a really big deal.
Well, the main thing I tell people is words are your success in life is voice activated. When you state it, when you state it, you create it. So when you state
That's
it, you create it. Everything is voice activated. And like what you said, Alexa, how are you?
Feeling dangerously close to fabulous.
Right. So when you state it, you create it. So you got to state what you want. Like, when the beginning was the word was God, and word was with God. So God used words to create the world. And so your words create your reality. And when you state it, you create it. I am somebody. My mind is a pearl. I can change the world. I can do this. I can do it here, and I can do it now. you know, always focus on the positive, because you can do this. You can do it
yeah.
here, and you can do it now.
Boy, that's so great. That's so great. I'm really glad that you're out there sharing this with you. So what are some of the ways that you do this? I think you've been pushed into doing this virtually now, like everybody else. Um, how's that going? Tell me a little bit more about Be Someone and how people can get in touch with you and what you do for kids. And
Well,
let's say
be
yeah.
someone.org depends on donations from regular people, and I thank you for all your support. You've helped us a lot. I thank God for that. But mostly we depend on regular people to support us. We have no source of income other than donations from people. And so God has blessed us to meet people like you, John, and other people who supported the work and helped us get the word out. So we always dependent at besomeone.org. And we are doing a big event coming up on February the 29th, correction, February the 27th, which is a Saturday. We're doing something for children. And then on April the 11th, we're doing a huge event called Good Deeds Day. So we're all about trying to get back to community, teaching young people how to think strategically about their future, get your head up, get your pants up, get your grades up, and the big one, never give up.
I love that. Now, is this something that a school district could reach out to you for, or an individual teacher, or how do things usually come in that way?
All kinds of people, regular individuals, school districts, individual, all over. Just we open to everybody. We do stuff for children. We do stuff for prison systems. We do stuff for companies. I've done stuff in the mall, and because of virtual, we're doing a lot of stuff virtual. But I'm using the game of chess to teach young people 6 magic words. Take time to think things through. Why? Because you can make one move in life and never recover. Don't do the first thing that pops in your head. Your first crack might be a whack, and you can't take it back. So think before you act.
Wow, I love it. I love it. Really, really good. And I think again, going back to the power of the word, you making these things catchy and memorable is far more important than it might seem like at first, to give somebody a great statement or a great nugget of thought is one thing. To give it to them in a way that they can't forget it, that's a real gift, that's a real gift. So, and what about someone like me? Can I, like, do you ever do, like, could I help you do a fundraiser where, like, I came and did a little training or talked, or,
Yeah,
other,
I would love for you to help us do a fundraiser and tell people, look, listen, guys, let's do something. Let's do a fundraiser and everybody pay, whatever, make a donation to Be Someone, and then we can make a big deal out of it. We can get it on the news, and the news media loves me. I've been on TV in about 40 cities doing what I do, and just teaching young people how to be a good person, because I teach the children as though my life depends on it, because it does, because we're interconnected.
Yeah. Well, and I think that it's not just the children, right? I think that there's plenty of grown-ups that could benefit from those 6 words,
Yeah,
Um,
we do senior citizens, and we do parents. So I
yeah,
do my age of teaching people is 8 to 88. Anybody in that bracket, 8 to 88.
right on, right on. Um, well, good. So what's something that I didn't ask you about that you might want to share?
Well, I'm just a full-time soldier fighting ignorance. A lady called me at 1:30 in the morning. Her name was Deborah Curry, and she asked me. She said, listen, I'm having some trouble with my son. He's in a gang. He's making some bad choices. and would you help me? And I reached out. I mean, she said, will you sign a court affidavit and help my son? And I said yes, and I signed the court affidavit and I helped the son. And a reporter asked me, why would you take a phone call from a complete stranger at 1:30 in the morning? I said, and this is my mantra, a full-time soldier sleeps with his boots on.
Oh God, you're gonna make me cry.
It's not about me, it's about we. And it takes teamwork to make the dream work, because what you sincerely desire for others will happen for you.
Yeah. Gosh, that's great. I mean, and that's who I know you to be from my experience with you, Orrin, is a full-time soldier for good who sleeps with his boots on.
Yeah, full-time soldier sleeps with his boots on, because it's not about me, it's about we. And it takes teamwork to make the dream work. And what you sincerely desire for others will happen for you.
That's really, really, really powerful. Orrin, it's just such a joy to be with you. I really appreciate it. And knowing that there are people like you in the world, that helps me get out of bed on those days when it maybe seems a little tougher. One of the things is you probably, I mean, as you know, and as most people listening know, I've been really involved in the TED and the TEDx community. And one of the things that I always tell people when I'm around other people who love TEDx and who are involved in that community and giving to that community is that I love being around other people who care that much too. And I think that
exactly.
yeah,
and
one of the yeah,
and life, just whatever you put out there is coming back. And John, you are a giver, and trust me, it's gonna come back. It's just, put your bread on the water and it comes back multiplied.
Right on. Well, and I think that it gets really tempting as we get older, as we grow up, and as we get teased, and as we get revealed, and as we do silly things that other people see us do. I think it gets really tempting to shut it down a little bit. Oh, I'm never gonna do that again. I'm not gonna look stupid again. I'm not gonna let people know what I really care about again. I'm not gonna. And I think that that's one of the great internal battles for human beings, is to be willing to go forward, be willing to get laughed at, be willing to fall down, be willing to let people actually know what you actually care about. One of the things I found difficult at first working with young people, like late high school to early college, was that they cared so much that they couldn't let anybody know how much they cared. And at first I just thought they didn't care. No, sorry, that was incorrect. It's that they care so much that they can't let anybody know how much they care. And I think that's really all of us. And to be willing to stand up and say, I care, and stand up and be witnessed for being really you. And even though all those times as a little kid or a young person or even an adult, you got laughed at or, felt silly or whatever, I think if we can all just stay in touch with that and stay open to that, it's a hard thing to do as human beings. It's much easier, I think, to shut down and get cynical and, put up walls and all that. But there's nobody on earth for the sole reason of taking down my walls. If I'm going to have walls up, then that's up to me. And if they're going to get dismantled, that's also up to me. And I really appreciate you being one of those people who is just flat out about how much you care. I love being around people who care that much too.
Well, I appreciate it. And John, if I can ever be a blessing to you, please reach out to me. I'm here 24/7 for you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Orrin. And I do really appreciate you joining us today. And your website is, I usually say this up front. I forgot, but your website is besomeone.org. And is there any social media that we should mention in particular? Are you particularly big on?
Well, I'm big on Facebook. I'm Orrin Checkmate Hudson on Facebook. I have over 5,000 friends. So Orrin Checkmate Hudson on Facebook. Besomeone.org is my website. I'm on Twitter at besomeone. And I'm on Instagram. I think it's besomeone.0org. It's a zero in there instead of an O. because of that.
Okay.
Yeah. But Instagram, but mainly on Orrin Checkmate Hudson on Facebook is what I'm really mostly on.
Okay, and you're also Orrin Checkmate Hudson on LinkedIn, yeah?
Yeah, Orrin Checkmate Hudson on LinkedIn, and I do a little. I'm trying to get better. So if you out there and you're a social media guru, we need you on our team. What we're doing has your name on it. You could be a part of changing the world one move at a time.
Right on. Orrin, thank you very, very, very much. And I hope you'll come back sooner or later here down the road and tell us what's been happening and give us another dose of the Pied Piper of positivity, because you earned it. You earned that title. And it's not just a platitude. It's really who you are.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you for joining the Speak Like a Leader podcast. Go be awesome.